Hey guys, welcome back. This is Blitz and Purge Team Hoodie, ready to go for the next set. Are you excited, man?
I'm very excited, Kevin.
Wow, you're actually excited. You're legitimately
No,
excited.
I'm not very excited, but we'll get into the... Dude, it's because I can't grow hair and it's so cold. But
It was pretty cold. Orange and
freezing.
Tongfu is what we're about to watch, guys. This is going to be a best of 2 between these two teams. Orange has already played 2 matches earlier tonight. And, what? Oh, lddota? David Gorman. Yep. David.
I can't
Team
even
Hoodie.
do a LD. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, that was really good. I heard the inflection. That's because like you try to sleep and you can just hear it. It just like
LD's just
seeps into you.
You
That's
heard me? It was good, right? It was smooth. Yeah, dude, I can actually do everybody's.
Does that mean we also fire him when we fire LD?
Hashtag
How does
fire
this-
LD
how does
underscore
this-
Blitz.
How does this work? I don't know. Is this going to overlap? So anyways, Orange played 2 matches already tonight. They played against Zenith. They went 1-1, so a decent start for them, getting 1 win under the belt. But Tongfu has been on a hot streak lately. They are a super talented team, and can they do the same? What do you think?
I think so. If I was, I mean, I did pick Tongfu to win, right?
Really?
Oh, did you actually have a prediction, Kevin? Let's hear it. Let's get you on the line too.
Me on the line for this match. I could throw out some random numbers and sound like I'm informed, but I'm not informed. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I really don't know how this is going to go. Orange looked really sloppy the last... Well, alright. They had a really good game 2. I've not covered Tongfu. That's my problem. So Orange looked really good game 2. Game 1, they looked pretty sloppy, like moderately sloppy. Tongfu in the past has been really strong at various points, so I would say like my gut feeling is Tongfu has a better chance to win this, but I guess I'm just going to be safe and go 1-1.
Okay.
But I think Tongfu is better.
Orange, though,
Guessing.
they did pick up the anti-mage. I wonder if that's going to be another anti-mage mid. I mean, it seemed to work out quite well for them last time, but they do have a Bat Rider, a hero that has seen some nerfs as of late. The Firefly doesn't give as much vision as it once did, but still a really good hero just for the initiate alone. The fact that you can lock up a hero that gets a BKB, and that's Gyrocopter.
Yeah, it's definitely very useful. I feel like the anti-mage was only put mid just because the enemy team had a Darkseer and they didn't want to put their lanes to be really crappy, you know? They didn't want to put like Lifestealer versus the Darkseer. That was the easiest way to shift things around, is do like the aggressive trialing and then like throw the anti-mage mid. I mean, I felt like that was... I don't really expect to see that more, is what I'm trying to say. I feel like the anti-mage
Oh yeah,
mid
it's
was kind
definitely
of
not
a
a
fluke.
trend. It was kind of like a cute thing that happened though. Queen of Pain though is going to be picked up, and that's actually the hero that is going to go mid. And anti-mage, that's obviously not a mid anymore. And
Yeah.
I imagine that the Bat Rider's an off lane, and what they're really lacking right now is supports. And Tongfu realizes that, going to ban out that Rubik, doing a good job of target firing bans.
Wow. Interesting pick here for Tongfu. They're going to grab a Silencer up for their 4th pick. Previous to the Silencer, there weren't that many good ways for Tongfu to deal with the anti-mage. Earthshaker obviously has a ton of stuns, but at least in the early game, you can't expect him to do that much more than just Fissure. So Earthshaker as a hero brings the stuns, but nobody else on Tongfu does. And that was one of the problems of Orange versus Zenith earlier tonight, was that anti-mage was impossible to kill, basically. Like, he got his pretty decent early game off. Once he grabbed a Manta, it was relatively difficult to kill him. And once he got a heart, it was over. There was no way he was going to die. So Tongfu is going to counter this slightly by having a Silencer pickup at least. So they're going to have a Silence, they're going to have a Global Silence, and a little bit of pure damage as well, which is going to help.
Yeah, I actually like Silencer as a support. We saw him quite a bit during
Crazy.
the Eastern Qualifier. When he was actually picked by LGD.
Oh yeah,
China.
against the tri-lane, right?
Yeah, it's
that
actually
was pretty cool.
It's actually quite decent because the global silence, right? It goes through the BKB. If you can wait a little bit, I think for Tongfu, the signal will be once the bat grips somebody, then you just global silence, right? Because then there'll be no follow-up, and you'll be able to protect.
Yeah.
Also, it's really good because if the Queen of Pain opts to get a BKB, then you can still silence her and make her ineffective.
Yeah.
And in general, it's a really good defensive spell too. It's one of those abilities that it's kind of difficult to mess up, in the sense that, you know, you just have to kind of wait for some key moments, because you can use it really easily offensively and defensively, right? Like when your team goes in and commits to a fight, you just pop the global, and it should be a one fight, because it essentially makes the supports completely useless.
You're assuming that the Silencer hits level 6 at a reasonable time, which you never really know, man. I guess if he's pulling, but I guess Earthshaker doesn't need levels that bad, so you could give him the Silencer instead, but...
It is a bit of a greedy support, just because you don't really have a disable. You're kind of relying on the global silence as a team fight. But Last Word is also incredibly useful against a hero like Queen of Pain. It makes it so that you can't chain spells. Same with Anti-Mage early until he gets a Blink Dagger. And it also is really effective against Bat Rider as well. But Obsidian Destroyer going to be picked up. I really like that hero in general. It's really kind of seen a rise. I know in the Southeast Asian scene there was a player named Silvercross that used to play it a lot. I was a really big fan of, but Obsidian Destroyer, really excited to see that hero in general. Really good teamfight potential just because of that ultimate that does huge damage.
Yeah.
But the knock on him has always been, the laning has been kind of wonky, and it's difficult to gank for him. But it doesn't really seem like, you know, they have the ganking lineup as it is.
I'm a little also surprised about the Sven pickup in this game. He's going to be played support. This is Net playing him, who is their typical support player. That's a Sven supporting a anti-mage with a jungling enchantress, and that's going to be versus an offlane Darkseer. I'm honestly super curious why they grabbed a Sven over other choices. I mean, the 2-second stun is great and all, but he doesn't have a big mana pool, and this guy absolutely needs mana to be able to get his nukes off. And I mean, Warcry is great as well, but a support as well isn't going to get that much EXP. What do you feel about the Sven pick? I feel like super out of place.
I think it was more just because a lot of the supports were already off the map, as in, you know, they weren't really left with a whole lot of options.
Gotcha.
Just because, you know, they picked their 3 solos and then they didn't manage to pick up any sort of support in between that. So I'm actually getting a bug where I can't see my mouse half the time. But okay, so Orange is leading the series 3-2. I don't actually know how recent that was and all that jazz. But are you able to click on the heroes?
Yes,
Like
I
actually
am.
just
I am
click?
one of the privileged few.
No, not without drag.
Yes. Still privileged.
Oh man, this is terrible. Okay, well I'm just gonna have to make do, I guess.
Well, let's go over the players quick before the action gets started. For Tongfu on the Radiant team, Hao is going to be playing the Gyrocopter. We have Banana playing Silencer towards the mid lane. We've got Move playing the Outworld Devourer. Sen Sheng is on the Earthshaker, and finally King J is going to be playing Darkseer.
For Orange, we have X gonna be playing, or Extinct gonna be playing that Enchantress. Net on that support Sven. Mushi gonna be playing his trademark anti-mage. KYXY is on that Queen of Pain, and Ohio gonna be playing that Bad Rider in the off. Actually, is he in the off lane? Yeah. No.
It looks like he's going to jungle or
Yeah,
something.
okay, he definitely is. Just considering his build is so greedy.
Yeah, there's no way he can offlane with this with a single tango. I mean, he could, but pretty decent chance that he would die. But on the, actually, if you think about it, it's going to be a Silencer Gyrocopter. Silencer could right-click him at least to force him out of lane, but it looks like he's considering going down, or at least jungling somewhere, but he's going to have to take the small camp. Not a big deal for Enchantress. She doesn't have to worry about she doesn't need the small camp to jungle, but definitely a greedy build if he decides to go offlane, and it doesn't look like he does.
Yeah.
So.
And the thing too is having 2 junglers like that, it kind of limits both their camps, but it's not like Bad Rider's going to do too much aside from doing the small camp. The Enchantress is going to kill this big camp here. So actually getting rid of Ohio's farm a little bit, but just having to trade. The thing about this Sven support too is it's really difficult to harass, just because you're not going to ever do any damage to that Darkseer. I mean, you have to get in melee range to harass him, and it's not as if your stun is spammable whatsoever to harass with.
So I think at least King J is going to be able to do some aggressive things. They very wisely, looks like somebody blocked the camp at the 30-second mark. That was most likely to Sven passing through to harass. But now that the creep has spawned, he can actually pull this to the side jungle. And his right click is pretty good as well, so Sven can keep him out of melee range. And King J for now is going to save Iron Shells on himself. He can't really spend the mana to try to trade hits with Net at the moment. So he's getting ready to pull now, and Net might do the same thing, actually grab the creep wave. Nope, he's not going to. He's just double checking to make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and Mushi actually having such a tough time here at top. Only has 4 CS, and in general we see anti-mage with a bit higher than that, and he's almost out of regen. Just down to a salve, no tangos left, and he's only at about half HP. This Darkseer is running up and down in the lane, gonna double Iron Shell spam, and it's not like Sven can really keep him out of this or really pressure him, because what happens if the stun comes off? The anti-mage isn't gonna be able to help out.
Yeah, especially at this low of HP. He's going to have to get Tranquil Boots or something. He does have 1 salve left over, but it's not looking too good for him. Very different than what we saw the last game that he played anti-mage.
Yeah, and this has always been the issue with having a Sven as a support. It's really greedy, and you're going to need to pair him with another hero and actually get a lot of kills going. Because as a pure support, he doesn't actually do too well.
Yeah, I'm still, man, I can't imagine there wasn't anything else. Like, even a Jakiro or something would have been better than this.
Maybe, it is a ranged stun. It does do reliable damage. It gives you another option. I mean, Net can play as kind of like a... I don't know.
5 carry?
As a 5 carry, I guess.
Gets a
God
free
Strength
DD.
does do quite well. And I guess he's really tanky. That's the kind of added bonus.
Yeah, that is true. But they could even do, like, Ogre Magi, though, or something. I don't know. I feel like there's just better options, period. No matter
Maybe
what.
it is a comfort thing for him as well.
Yeah, that's possible. That could be it.
Yeah, and OD actually doing a lot worse than I thought he would. Middle against a Queen of Pain.
Yeah, how is this occurring? There are some creeps that have been thrown mid to harass Moo at the very least, so I'm sure Enchant has been doing this a lot. But the weird part is that OD should have a lot more base damage than Queen of Pain does, and at the moment he's actually 15 ahead of her, or 28, 25. Yeah, this is like a 25 damage advantage, which means you shouldn't be missing last hits. Queen of Pain should not be able to get any of these. You should be able to deny her and last hit her, especially with Banish as well. But he has been harassing with 2 levels of Shadow Strike, and there have been Chen creeps, so maybe that's part of the reason.
Yeah, and KYXY is actually doing the really smart thing against the OD mid. When you're at a disadvantage, you have to force somebody to either go for the deny or the last hit, and he's doing a really good job of forcing those decisions. And Mu actually not denying as much as he should, just because of that Enchantress creep being really annoying, and KYXY gonna throw down that Shadow Dagger. Shadow Strike, actually, it's called.
Wow,
and another troll's gonna come in.
Man, he is just ferrying creeps to go harass here. How many enchant levels do they have? Just 1, actually. This is going to cost him some EXP guaranteed. He's about to hit level 3, but I mean, it is pressuring back OD. The trolls do piercing damage, which is pretty reduced against heroes, but just throwing the nets on him and like forcing him to maybe get daggered is really helpful.
And you would have actually thought that this lane would be quite disadvantaged for KYXY, but he's doing quite well for himself. Mu gonna pick up a tango that Sansheng has left from an Earthshaker, not being able to get too much out of this.
It's actually going to be a bottle on OD. We don't always see this pickup because OD generally is able to pick up something like a Tranquil Boots pretty fast and build that into a mech later. Oh, the Fissure's actually going to miss. KYXY is on the wrong side. He could have blinked anyways, I guess. I'm not really sure why he went for that, but he is going to have enough mana for another Fissure shortly afterwards.
And speaking of slow level 6s, Banana's actually doing quite well for himself. He's about to hit level 4, Kevin, in 4 minutes, and that's actually not too bad for support at all. He's actually been the one to pull in last hit, so doing quite well for himself.
He is going to be able to make boots as well in a bit. If we compare the carry of the two, or the farm of the 2 carries, Anti-Mage is at 31 CS, the Gyrocopter is sitting at 35, and he's got 2 levels of Mana Break as well, so Darkseer in the meantime is way, way long gone. It's actually moved into the jungle a bit. I guess he's scared of the Anti-Mage, but his levels are great. He's sitting at level 5 right now, which is pretty solid for an offlane. Yeah,
I'm actually really surprised that the Bat hasn't tried to stack at all. He's going to come back down here and not actually be able to do too much. He's just going to get harassed by Last Word, and a rocket comes on him as well, and the Fissure, just going to force him back. Already at half HP, and the bottom tower is finally being pressured. How pops the Flak Cannon?
Do you agree with the same skill build? Actually, called on Great Fissure as well, and he gets killed really fast. Look at that burst damage. That's the power of Fissure, guys. You don't see it coming, and all of a sudden the initiation happens. You take the extra damage as well as the stun, and they get the cooldown off of it. So that was really nicely done by Tongfu.
So what are you going to ask, sorry?
How do you feel about the skill build from the Bat Rider? He's got 2 levels of Firefly. It will help him jungle single camps and maybe counter push a little bit easier, but
I think that was right. It's okay considering if you're just going to jungle, and getting that early level in Flame Break allows you to gank and puts you a little more effective, but in most cases, I don't know if you'd want to level the Firefly like this, but because you are jungling, it is a little more effective.
Yeah.
But he wasn't even able to jungle that effectively, I think. I think the better thing would have been for the Enchantress to kind of take this half of the creep camp. That was such a terrible drawing. And
that's one camp.
Yeah, take those camps and actually have try to roam with Net, because Net actually hasn't done too much. He's only level 3 right now, whereas the Silencer, who's playing the Heart Support, is about to hit level 5.
It's not a terrible gank either, Enchantress and Sven. They'll have a ranged disable in case the Enchantress has anything melee. They could get some decent damage out of it. Net right-clicking with a Sven is not going to do a whole lot because he only hits for 62, but with Warcry on top of this, he's kind of a fun ganking hero.
Yeah, and Earthshaker going to be camping mid, doing the right thing here. I think he assumed the same thing that I did with the Sven and the Enchantress, at least maybe trying to attempt a gank, so he's actually just hanging around middle, just in case anything happens, but doesn't look like Orange is too content trying to gank or anything like that.
Well, he's going to continue to banish Int. He's going to pick up his ulti as well. He could try to go for a kill here. Man, look at her Int at the moment. She's sitting at like, she's 200 max mana. It's insane. No ganks just yet, though. And more pulling, actually, from the Silencer. Wow. And my comment was completely undue. Look at this. He's already level 5 at 7 minutes in this game. If he gets a global silence off, then they can start shifting just about anybody to try to kill the Anti-Mage.
Yeah. And actually, Mushi has finally picked up in his farm. He's got 48 CS, doing quite decently for himself. Still being pressured quite a bit by King J, who's actually hit level 7 already as an offlane role. He's doing quite well for himself.
Yeah, he can basically be aggressive just because the supports are both melee. So he just stands within EXP range. Net can shift over at all times, but his likelihood of getting ganked and dying are very, very low. And the Dire team continues to put wards here. They want to keep track I'm sorry, this is the Dire team. They want to keep track of this offlaner and see where he is at all points. But King J's going to go back to base because he went for a bottle Ring of Regen build. I don't know if it's going to be Soul Ring, but we'll find out shortly.
Yeah, and KYX, so I'm going to rotate here down to the bottom, try to pick up some free experience. Gonna let his Enchantress actually rotate mid and get some farm and levels, and I actually really agree with this decision. It's really difficult for him to die down here, and so whereas anybody else that was down there would kind of just get blown up, as we saw the Bat Rider, because you can always blink with Queen to Plane as soon as the Fissure hits, but that's gonna get a lot more difficult once Banana hits level 6.
Yep, that's definitely true. Gyrocopter continues to push the bot lane. Phase Boots, and surprisingly an Aquila is picked up. Not always the most common Gyrocopter pickup, but he's going to go BKB immediately after this, so if you go straight for a BKB, you need some damage, so the Aquila gives him plus 15 for the early game, which is pretty decent in terms of flag. And I love all the stacking that has gone on as well. Banana's stacked up this large camp 3 times. We have another large camp that was stacked a bit. This time King J taking this one, so just the support's really accelerating the gold and EXP gain for some of their core heroes.
Yeah, Darkseer doing quite decently for himself, picks up a bottle. He's almost got most of the components of mech actually, minus the recipe, and he actually has the Buckler and the Ring of Regen. Mushi getting dangerously close now to his Battle Fury. I think he actually has the Claymore on the chicken. Yeah, he's got the Claymore, so he's now just the Void Stone away. If they end up pushing a tower, he should have 12-minute Battle Fury or something like that, really quick. He's actually seen no pressure this game.
He has skip boots as well, so that's part of the reason that it is so accelerated. He'll be able to farm with it, but his moves do the best. There's the enchant on Gyrocopter. There's a Scream of Pain. Wow, they are ready to kill How. They're even blowing the Bat Rider ulti. They don't want to mess around at all there. I think that was maybe a bit of a waste, but they secure the kill on the enemy carry, so it's going to slow down his BKB by a moderate amount.
I don't think it's ever a waste if you're going to kill a carry this early in the game, because what else are you going to use all those spells for, right?
The neutral?
Yeah.
What about that?
There's no theoretical. The issue is a lot of people, when they see big ultimates, they think of theoretical fights where it's going to hit like 5 heroes and they're going to be a god and people are going to chant their names, but if you're going to get a kill like that quick and efficiently, then it's always worth it to use all your spells.
Well, they got the kill, and he's probably going to go back to farming, checking for the bot rune, and it is there, actually. It's an illusion for Bat Rider now. Enchantress is putting full skill points into her skills. We don't always see this. Sometimes we see a little mix of things, including heals and stats, but he's got 3 levels of enchant, so the extra slow is going to give him some good impact.
And Banana just going to farm down here. He's almost at level 7, actually, doing quite well for himself. The one player that I'm really confused by right now is Net hasn't really done anything this game. He doesn't have any assists, deaths, kills, and he doesn't look like he's farming very much either. I'm really curious to see, as well as you were, why they thought the Sven pick would kind of pay off for them.
Yeah, they did pull a moderate amount, but only level 4 on him. He's going to help jungle now, and he's also going stat levels after 1 Warcry, so he'll probably max out Stormhammer first and just aim to increase the team's movement speed, but at the moment, just Naked Boots. Doesn't really have much impact.
Yeah, actually, it looks like, oh no, he's picked up a smoke, so I think after this this creep wave dies, maybe they'll try to attempt a gank, if they can pick up a creep. It's going to stun the creep wave. Not much going on, just a bit of passive farming right now, and both teams actually have, I think both teams are okay playing a bit passively right now. Tongfu has a Gyrocopter, they have an Obsidian Destroyer who hasn't been pressured too much, and a Darkseer, and on the side of Orange, of course, they have an Anti-Mage, so they're never too afraid of going into the late game. So right now, we're just going to see a bit of a passive game.
No problem at all. Makes sense. They want to win. I don't blame them.
Of course, Kevin. Nobody wants to lose.
That's not quite true.
No team's going...
3-2-2.
3-2-2. Oh my god, I can't believe you went there.
How did that was like the most set up 3-2-2 joke I've ever heard in my life.
Really? I wasn't even trying to make a 3-2-2 joke.
But I had to.
I set it up and you slam dunked it.
Yeah, man. I didn't even want to, but I had to.
You had to do it for the fans.
For the chat, just for you guys.
They're gonna go crazy after that. But okay, so just a bit of a passive game right now. It looks like Moo. I'm actually surprised that Moo's not doing better than this right now. He's only got 52 CS, and against a Queen of Pain, I know the Enchantress creeps are there, but you essentially gain like 20 damage over or something ridiculous.
Yeah, at one point he had 25 bonus damage. He was hitting for like 75, and she was at like 50. It's really one-sided, but yeah, a little bit slow on his farm. Does he have a mech yet? Oh man, there's actually some build problems here. Unless he's planning to build this into a pipe. He does have a headdress, and we actually already have a mech picked up on the Darkseer, so I don't know if they did this on purpose or not. Usually Odie needs some kind of HP regen, but he actually bought a bottle already. Does he need it? Great fissure! Gonna start things off from Sansheng, blocks him in, forces him into a fight. One banish, right-clicks on Enchantress, and she is gonna get bursted down. Yep, she is gonna fall.
Oh, King J also picks off the Sven, who unluckily tries to TP, but at the last second, Darkseer is able to pick him off. It looked like they were willing to trade the tower there, but just kind of get collapsed upon. Sansheng with a really nice backstab fissure.
Yeah, that's the fissure block mechanic that does make the ability really great. The Enchantress Centaur is going to do his best to slow down the creep wave, and it actually does a pretty nice job here. That's going to force Tongfu to back up. Banana on the bot lane, really scared about getting dived, and there it is. Barrett goes in, Queen of Pain ulti. There's the scream, 2 right clicks. KYXY secures the kill, and Gyrocopter might try to kill somebody, but the tower is going to be deniable here. They're just going to give up on it, though. A little bit of a loss for them. They're going to lose a lot of gold from this, but they still are grabbing the kills and using their ultis for those kill secures.
Yes, definitely. Alright, so right now, the game, how do you feel like it's being favored right now? Mushi is getting absolute tree farm. He does have a Battle Fury. He's been relatively unpressured, but at the same time, Tongfu with a bit of a kill lead, and it seems like their supports are just doing a little more.
Yeah, the supports on Tongfu are doing better, but I think the carries and the core heroes of Orange are superior at the moment. Like, the Queen of Pain's had 2 solid ganks off. She does cast her abilities when she gets the chance. Barretter's also ganking around the map. He's got a Blink Dagger, and we all know that Anti-Mage is pretty good late game, but we can look at some facts like OD is in some ways a counter to Anti-Mage. He does pure damage, which means that Anti-Mage doesn't get this Imbo resistance. And on top of that, he does bonus damage to illusions. So once the Manta-style illusions come flying out, he will have some options to counter that.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised by this headdress decision. I have to imagine that there was a bit of a communication fail, because I don't know if the regen alone is worth it.
Yeah, I don't think buying a pipe on OD is really that useful. You're much better off getting a BKB for the Magic community.
Yeah. Maybe he just thought that King J wasn't going to get it as quickly as he did. That he'd be zoned out in that tri-lane, but King J actually did really good job considering, I mean, the Enchantress always sent the creep mid.
Yeah.
Wasn't really doing a whole lot ganking, so I think he correctly realized that and was able to pretty much farm greedily. Actually, another move being made mid by Orange by just the Enchantress and the Sven. I think they have to be a little bit careful here.
This is what they did last time as well.
Oh, and Sansheng's, he's going to be found.
Going to be pulling it back into the wave. It does get banished. Great banish from Moo, the one counter to Batrider that exists. Similar to Shadow Demon, whoever gets Fireflied and Flaming Lassoed, you just banish them, and then they're protected for 3 seconds. I mean, this spell in some ways is better than Disruption because it lasts for 4 seconds. Defensively, it definitely is. You don't get to spawn illusions, but, I mean, really, really great Batrider counter and solid reaction time from Moo to protect them.
Yeah, and actually, he's going to pick up a Staff of Wizardry. Looks like he's going to get a 4-staff now. Just realizing that there is a mecha ready, and a bit of a fail, but able to pick that back up. He's going to get a decent time 4-staff too. I would have liked to see, if he didn't pick up that headdress, he'd already have it by now.
Yeah.
And then for him to work on something like a BKB, I think that'd be a lot more effective. But
it's going to really hurt his damage if he does go that progression, though. I mean, he doesn't even have a Null Talisman or anything. He's got Treads and a 4-staff. That's like a total of 15 int or something like that. Really not a big amount. They're going to try to take the tower. They cancel the animation a couple times. They do grab it. Great Queen of Pain ulti. Oh my gosh, the scream on 3. King J running for his life. OD, Moo throws his ult down, but it doesn't even kill Net. And this is a support Sven. The dagger's going to be able to pick off the kill. I think Banana's able to get a support kill. And that is going to clean things up.
Oh my god, and King J, is he going to live? Yeah. TP's at the last second, manages to get out. So they do pick up a tower. They do lose the Earthshaker and the core hero mid in terms of the OD. And they get the Sven in return, but Mushi was there for that fight. And he's got a 1100 gold to go on top of his Battle Fury and his Treads at 16 minutes.
Jeez. Well, BKB's finished on Gyrocopter at least, so he can't go Magic Immune against Anti-Mage's Mana Drain. But like you said, that Battle Fury is going to start the farm, and things are going to get scary. Kind of. It's like the Looming Doom. I don't know. I still hate playing against Anti-Mages because it's one of the heroes that you just know, no matter how good the player is. Not saying that these guys are bad at all, of course, but the Doom is in sight. Like, they're gonna farm, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it unless you go on ganking missions. And they do have the global silence, but they can't necessarily blow this just for a little gank on Anti-Mage. Like, shutting him down, I don't really think is an option. They just need to start snowballing and pushing and taking towers.
Yeah, it's one of those heroes that you kind of play against a timer of sorts.
Yeah.
Once you have an Anti-Mage that's doing this well, you're kind of on a timer to kind of force. You're kind of forced to take fights that you don't really want to, but you kind of have to just because you are a bit behind. And actually, Ohio going to TP out here on bottom. Is the Fissure going to hit him? Nope. Just gets out in time.
I don't know. I think he could have gotten that guy.
It would have been close. I think he should have taken the risk just because, if you do hit, the cost reward is really good. But
I don't know if they had vision of him, which is probably why he didn't throw it. But he could have actually fissured that guy, I believe. He was within range for sure. Queen of Pain being pressured mid a bit. Banana's being really aggressive. I love picking up early urns on support heroes. It's one of the best items to grab just because the extra strength is going to be guaranteed useful. And if any kills happen, you can use these at critical times to heal up your carries and things when they stop taking player-based damage. So try picking those up, guys. At least one per team, I think is really valid, especially on a support hero. I mean, it's such a good item. Especially when you're int as well. You get some mana regen out of it. It's perfect. It's not that expensive. I love it.
Man, you would make a great used car salesman.
What you're saying, are you telling me that urns are undesirable?
No, they're not at all, but that was a great kind of like medium-sized pitch. Like it sounded like there was like deadness in your voice after like telling people buy urns, and nobody does. But anyways, they are going to go top on Mu. I don't actually know if he's going to be able to survive through this.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to counter the Bat Rider when you're the guy that gets jumped on. So Enchantress picks off the kill, and a very important hero is going to die. We have King J shifting over as well. KYXY is trying to trick King J, but does one scream. Will she go on this actually? Sansheng also in position to get blown up, but they're going to actually need to back off. Okay, they grab the OD. They're saying, okay, well, we killed OD for free. We're just going to back off now. They haven't used a lot of their core ultis other than the Bat Rider one, but they'll play it safe. So,
man, at the 18-minute and 45-second mark, Mushi's got 163 CS. He's been in
pretty good.
2 kills. Yeah, he's doing okay for himself. And the scary thing about this right now is I kind of wish that the gyrocopter being played by Hao had gone for a slightly greedier build. You have a lot of heroes that can protect you. If you're the one that gets gripped by the Bat Rider, or lassoed, so to speak, you can always get Forestaffed or what is that? Astral Imprison. Yep. There's the Fissure follow-up, Global Silence. So there's a lot to protect him in team fights. So I don't know if the BKB here is necessarily necessary. Just because you need more damage right now to deal with the anti-mage.
And I also feel like Orange's early team fight it's scary because of the Queen of Pain, but it's limited to like the Queen of Pain ulti as well as maybe like a Svensson and a little bit of right click. I feel like he doesn't really need a team fight item. He needs like a damage item.
Yeah, and going for that early BKB just represents the fact that they also realize they're on some sort of clock, and they need to take fights as soon as they can. But at the same time, I mean, how do you take a fight? Mushi's going to take your T2 faster than you can even 4-man pressure.
Wow, it's gone already. Well, at least he's got these creeps for gold.
That's the thing about playing against a farmed anti-mage, though. He just split pressures you. He doesn't have to come to fights until the very end. And once you send one hero over to deal with him, there ends the push.
Yep. Very frustrating. And that's what they need to do. They grabbed all these items so that they could be good in the early game. This is what they were planning to do. They have Silencer ulti. Orange knows that they don't want to fight, and anti-mage is going to keep doing this super annoying tactic until it puts them in a point where they're ready to fight. They'll need Manta Style on anti-mage. They'll probably need at least some kind of more HP on Sven. And Queen of Pain also has BKB, so at this point Orange is actually just about ready to go. Force Staff on Bat Rider would be great so that they can maybe pull people out from Lasso, but they're just going to continue doing this, and that's very similar to what we saw in the last game versus Team Zenith. Orange just split pushed like crazy. It worked out really, really well, and eventually they were able to take the game.
Against a lineup with Anti-Mage, you kind of need to pressure more. But once Anti-Mage gets this much farm, and I mean he was untouched for essentially 16 minutes. Actually, he's been untouched this entire game. When you're this untouched, then you just kind of go away from where everyone is, and then just split pressure. And if Tongfu tries to force the issue by 5-manning, well, your team can just defend, spam out spells mid, and then he can just continue to split push.
Well, Tongfu does know that they need to make something happen, so they're sitting above the Roshan pit. I think they're expecting somebody to come. I guess from the Ancients path, they may think that Anti-Mage is here. So where he goes in his next path. I think
he's just going to go back down again and push out the bottom. Realizes that it takes way too much to kill him. I mean, for them to kill him at this point, it's going to require quite a bit and might not even be worth it just because the rest of his team is farming. They are going to gear up for a 5-man push mid. Mushi's not even going to bat an eyelash. Going to continue to pressure to this bottom. And Orange just going to back up, and I think they're okay with this trade, actually.
Yeah, Anti-Mage can't get to towers just yet, so at the moment they're just right-clicking tier 2. Hao takes a ton, though. Goes to half, forces the mech out. So if they can force the team fight in the next 25-40 seconds, they will not have that extra heal.
But here comes the base pressure, and there's going to be a Manta right now on Mushi.
Scream goes on. King J's put pretty low. They're going to go in. Great curse, actually, on 2 heroes. Call down as well. There's one banished. Echo Slam is used. Global Silence, and now it's not so good for Orange. They have to decide, can they keep fighting? But Barretter being dead. Net throws his only stun, and he's pretty limited from here on out. Moo's going to try to clean him up, but Net running for his life, and since he is quite tanky, will be maybe okay.
It doesn't even matter, though. Mushi, this entire time, his team just bought him some time, and it looks like Hao's going to go down, maybe. Oh,
great fissure. It will be enough. KYXY blinks away. He does get picked off. Mu running for his life as well. Extinct barely has space to escape. And Banana putting another ward on the high ground. I love the skill build for a support silencer. You're not really expecting
Bottom
to do a whole lot.
bottom Rax is going to be taken by Mushi right now.
Oh my god, 22 minutes?
Did you not see that?
No, I
Two
didn't.
heroes TP in. He doesn't even care. The entire fight, he gets the Manta right when he hits the tower, and then he just continuously Mantas. And nothing can be done about it. Actually, Mushi's got
That's
so much
big.
farm now. Yeah. He essentially traded his team for a Rax, and I think at this early on in this game, it's completely worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really hard to counter push this early as well. I mean, luckily for them, they do have a gyrocopter, so they've got the AoE monster. But man, that taking a Rax this early, this lane's going to push for the rest of the game. And in case they don't even need to use Heroes to split push now. Their creeps are naturally going to split push, so just opens up more possibilities for Orange to possibly win this game.
Yeah, and actually Mushi did the smart thing there. I think as a team they agreed, okay, we're going to trade this. If you saw the Queen of Pain just ult, that was just to try to get them a little bit low, so if they did TP bottom, they'd have to heal first. Because you can't really walk into a anti-mage with half HP or anything like that.
Yeah.
And their team was able to kind of buy time. They were the human meat shields, so to speak. Everyone kind of died so he could succeed.
Boy, did he. Grabs the melee barracks just in time, gets the escape. And now he's back to farming. Battle Fury's so good. 2,400 gold now. So probably we'll see a heart from him next. He just basically needs burst heal. He could maybe grab something like a BKB, but it's not really needed.
Oh, this is the worst thing in the world.
Heart into butterfly or something. He's pretty set.
Yeah, I don't actually think he needs to get a BKB. A heart would be a good decision at this point. That would make him unkillable right now, I feel. And King J actually just going to get completely blown up by Mushi. Now he can come to the fights, and they can 5-man. The bottom will pressure by itself, and I don't actually think Mushi has to continue to farm anymore. I think coming to team fights at this point would greatly benefit his team. There's a point where it's not really worth it to split pressure anymore, and you have such an overwhelming farm lead that you can just come to fights.
Is it that time already? I mean, it's 24 minutes into the game. I mean, he's got Manta style finish.
He's got 3,200 gold as well. That's a Reaver. I mean, compared to House Farm, he's got a BKB and a Demon Edge right now.
Getting closer to his MKB if needed. Maybe a Rapier, who knows? He will hit. There won't be any evasion problems at least, because Anti-Mage isn't going to be able to pick up a Butterfly yet. But
maybe he does get a Butterfly as well. I don't know. There's a lot of options right now for Mushi, considering how well he's farming.
I feel like a Heart would be a lot more useful. Well,
I don't know. Butterfly would be quite decent as well,
you know
though.
what? Like, against an OD, maybe evasion is really the way to go, because he does do a ton of bonus, bunch of bonus pure damage based on there being illusions. So as we saw before, the illusions had about half HP, and they just got one shot. From half HP, that is. So I think it'd be really good. Will he cast anything on the Anti-Mage illusion? Oh man, he's going to be tricky here. He goes in, takes the tower. Now after Banana, are you in trouble? Ghost Scepter already picked up on her. Or him, excuse me. And there's a Batrider ulti going on top of somebody. This is going to be how, wow, he gets killed really fast. Gyrocopter just immediately killed, and that's the power of Batrider. They've just been taking solo kills. Solo killing and split pushing, and Tongfu can't force a 5v5 team fight.
Yeah, and actually, for the most part, Orange is kind of just forcing them into really uncomfortable situations. They're splitting here and there, forcing Tongfu to send one person here, one person there, and just picking off that person that comes. Ohio, he had quite a bit of a shaky start, just in the jungling, not being able to really get levels, but since then has really picked it up. His ult has just kind of been on point this game.
Yeah, he really has been doing a great job. Both the Queen of Pain and the Batrider have been doing great like that. 5,000 gold now in Mushi. This is what he likes to do: save a ton of gold, and then when he's got enough, then he buys his items. He's got a free item slot. I mean, he could buy a Vitality Booster or whatever.
What is that? Oh, it's a heart. Okay, so he's gonna go for the heart, making him unkillable this game. And when I say unkillable, I mean unkillable. Unless he wastes his Manta and kind of lets every single spell hit him, he should be 100% okay this game. The Silencer isn't really going to be able to do any DPS. Same with the Earthshaker, who's only level 7 right now.
I must say, Anti-Mage is actually a pretty good counter against a Gyrocopter, because Gyrocopter's primarily magic damage as well as AoE based. And Anti-Mage, yeah, sure, his illusions could take some damage, but him as a hero is really difficult to kill directly. So if Anti-Mage can just tank up a bit, grab a heart, something like that, then him getting killed by Gyrocopter is very unlikely. So kind of cool to see that hero pick up.
Yeah, and I really like this setup right now for Ohio. He's going to wait at this bottom lane. I think the way that Tongfu is going to think, or they're hoping Tongfu thinks, is like, oh, okay, well, it's safe to farm this lane out. It's so close to the base. You know, there's no way this Anti-Mage will play this this aggressively, but Ohio is just going to wait for How. Oh, this is getting scary. Is he going to blink Force Staff?
How might be in trouble, blinks in, no BKB out.
Actually, Mushi was way too far away. I think they actually could have gotten that kill.
if Mushi stayed.
Yeah, Mushi was actually close enough, but he kind of just ran away. But I think he's afraid of the wraparound. He's actually going to start running away. Actually draws like a line.
He just got his heart, so I think he was maybe saying, wait until I get the heart. If I get the heart, I have an extra 1,000 HP. He's going to run in the team. Will we see a fissure? Nope, blink away. And there it is, the power of Anti-Mage. He has escaped a gank, guys.
Power of Anti-Mage compels you. KYXY, meanwhile, the split pressure is just allowing him to farm this top lane and pressure it out. He's almost got his sheep stick, too. That pivotal hex, that's going to kind of change the way the team fights are going. I don't think Obsidian is too close to his. No, not really. And
is that
Mushi,
what he's picking up? Yes.
Yeah, going to go back to top, farm pressure out this lane. And Tongfu's going to have to send at least 2 heroes to deal with this.
Yeah, it's time to just take tower damage because it doesn't matter anymore. You're getting the full HP regen unless you do take player-based damage. The tier 2 tower is likely to fall. There's no glyph on this one, and he's going to try to juke out really fun plays with his illusions, trying to pretend different ones are real, and that can be very useful. But so far it seemed like the enemy team has been able to spot that out pretty easily.
I actually think he was just using those illusions to scout, just to make sure that nobody was coming in from the sides. But it doesn't really matter. Tongfu needs to devote a minimum of 2 heroes just to do anything at this point to this Anti-Mage, just to stop him from pushing, and I don't even think that'll do enough. Anti-Mage is 2,000 gold on him. The worst thing about this too is for Tongfu is it's opening the entire lane, the rest of the lanes for his teammates. Because if you send everyone to deal with the Anti-Mage's lane, then it opens up the Queen of Pain to farm. And meanwhile, the Enchantress and the Sven are both just farming this jungle.
Well, support Sven's actually almost picking up a BKB. His ulti is level 2 now, so he's going to get a bonus 150 damage for the team fight. If he can just hit like 3 or 4 times, he's honestly doing pretty good team fight contribution. I would love to see him max out Warcry, though. I just feel like Warcry is a disgustingly strong skill. It doesn't do that much versus OD, of course, but against a Gyrocopter, I mean, if he has less stats as a result, if you would be maxing Warcry, but if you can give your team like 8 to 16 armor somewhere in there every 18 seconds, during a flat cannon barrage, like that's going to reduce a massive amount of that damage. And I feel like I wish this was being maxed out earlier.
Yeah. I mean, I know they are winning. Even though the score is 7-7, guys, there is a Rax taken, and that's quite a big deal. And the farm advantage is obviously on the side of Orange. I feel like any other support would have done more. I mean, the Sven is 0-3-3, and I think you could have pressured a lot earlier with any other support and made things even easier. But Mushi gonna solo kill this Roshan. He's got 3,000 gold. I assume this means a butterfly is going to be picked up next on him. And if you thought he was unkillable before, now he does damage, and he's unkillable more.
Yeah, he attacks faster and has all this evasion and all this nasty stuff. He's almost max HP even. If we take a look at the hero levels, he's the closest is Gyro at 15. Like it's.
Oh, is he level 22? Oh, casual level 22 at 30 minutes.
He was like, okay, I'm level 19, guys. I think it's time to max out Spell Shield. We'll just throw the points in. Scaling of the skill is actually kind of crappy, but it's 8% per level.
I mean, it doesn't matter at this point when you're level 22, and the Earthshaker, I think, is level 8.
He's going to stun him, and
it's going to do damage.
Then he's going to die. That's what's going to happen. So.
Yeah. I would actually like to see that max enchant totem and just go for the physical hit. Be like, nothing else hurts you.
Stack strength items to get the most damage, and 1 crit, of course.
Yeah, I actually really like the way that Orange is doing this. They're actually just pressuring the Rax lane just because, you know, they're going to assume, well, Mushi's got to be there by himself, but if anybody else comes to defend, they'll get picked off. KYXY just going to push out the lanes now. He's been doing this the entire time, using the time that Anti-Mage is buying him. Picks up the Scythe of Vice, and he's actually really farmed too. So if it wasn't enough that Mushi was getting a ton of farm, well, now you have to deal with the Queen of Pain as well.
And that's a really scary hero to have a Hex on as well, because you can blink initiate, so it really increases the range that you can jump on. Scythe of Vice, I think, is something like 1,200 range or something.
Oh,
really
and Hal's going to get jumped on.
Oh, he does get the BKB up. Nice play by him. He also has an MKB. He's going to start attacking any second. Ned finally puts down his BKB as well, but actually it was a little wasted there. They do take the tower at least. Anti-Mage getting the last hit. And I mean, Orange's hero composition is so solid right now. I mean, having a BKB up on their support hero, for God's sake. I mean, Enchantress is kind of close to a mech, about halfway from the stack components. And Hex on Queen of Pain, they don't even care about that. They lost a BKB charge on a support hero. They wasted a BKB charge on a carry hero, and they got a tower out of it. So Orange has got to be happy right now.
That looked so funny, just seeing a support Sven man up on a gyrocopter.
He's been farming like the entire game. He's 0-3-3 as a support hero. I'm not surprised his stats are like this because I think Sven's kind of a weak hero for support at least.
It's just a greedy one.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, Mushi's going to do the thing that Mushi does and farm.
Oh, so
He's going to push out this lane, and I actually think he's going to go for an Abyssal Blade. He's picked up a Basher. That's what he's going to waste his money on.
It's a good choice. I mean, disabling OD is a huge deal. Disabling the Gyrocopter, even if he pops BKB, what's his
He would like
number at,
5-shot
by the
that
way?
Earthshaker, if
Is that
that.
8?
If it even takes him that long.
Oh yeah, Anti-Mage is pretty good against ES, of course. But
Anti-Mage is a pretty good hero in general against support heroes, but
yeah,
they are going to pressure out this
kills.
bottom again. It doesn't look like Orange is too interested in forcing any sort of fights. They realize they have the best late game man, and he's ahead by so much at this point that they don't have to take fights. He can just continue to farm, extend the gold lead, and absolutely make sure that the next team fight is a crush.
He's pretty close to picking up his Eagle Song as well. He could sell his Quelling Blade for this one, but instead of playing it safe. I'm sorry, you're right. You're right. He's going to Abyssal Blade. I forgot about that. Sorry.
Yeah. Looks like the chicken is going to fly over there. Mushi's going to do the thing he does and farm. He's got 382 CS at 33 minutes. It almost kind of feels like
Net
he's
worth.
overfarmed.
Oh my god. Compared to what the Gyro has, yeah, I think so. A little over.
It just feels like at this point, farming's a little redundant, and they can actually just go up and win the game. King J is getting a little bit closer to a Hex, but overall the farm disadvantage just feels huge.
It's that carry that is really hard to kill. I mean, Gyro's farm was insane in the early game, if you remember correctly. And Anti-Mage was a little contested from the Darkseer. But then what happened is Gyrocopter got killed twice. What has Anti-Mage died? 0. He has literally done nothing but take towers and push this whole game. So he doesn't have the loss of dying ever. It's pretty hard to kill him. So Batrider's pretty easy to kill on Gyrocopter. So
He's never felt the pain of death. But
is that like a line that he says or something?
no, I don't know. I
Did
just
you
sounded
make a
kind of
bet to
epic
say
at that.
that? It was like
No,
Felt
dude, relax.
felt prepared or something. I don't know what it is.
All right. So the difference between picking an offlane like Batrider versus picking the Darkseer, the Batrider is slightly inferior early game in the game or in the team fight component. Just because if you go in a team of 5, you get blown up right as soon as you try to lasso somebody with the blink. But the benefit of having a Darkseer is he picks up the mech. You can team fight a lot earlier. You have the wall, and as I'm saying that at bottom, Ohio's just going to get taken down by the support offlane combination.
Sven stun going through, but the evasion actually going to keep him alive. 200 HP, barely surviving there. BKB on KYX. What is going on?
At top, Mushi's just going to take another Rax. Doesn't
Oh
even
my
care
gosh.
about the rest of his team.
There is going to be a glyph though, so that buys him a little time. A little bit of mana drain on King J as well.
At
And
the same
what
time,
is the
another
rest of the
bottom
team?
Rax is being taken.
There it is. That
And he'll just
ranged
go back
barracks.
top.
They spent so much time defending that range barracks. Like, they've been defending that for 10 minutes. And it finally goes down with a little split push again. And Mushi's not done yet. Can go back in. There's the Manta split as soon as it's back up. Mana drain on King J. They could turn this into a kill possibly, but in the meantime, the illusions are just hitting the tower.
And his team's going to engage at bottom. Sansheng is actually going to get a huge ultimate off. Able to pick off the Batrider, but at the same time, Anti-Mage Mushi, he's going to pick up another Rax, using his team as meat shields. And there he goes. Not enough damage being done to him. And he actually gets vacuumed out of the Gyrocopter ultimate, the call down. And there
Wow.
goes a melee Rax.
2 lanes down, and they're losing in kills, guys. Can't really tell, though. Look at the gold graph. 20k and climbing. Orange continues to do this really annoying style. Again, it worked for them against Zenith, and they're looking completely set up. Look at that. There it is. Tricky illusions. Tricky illusions, man. He's been doing this all game. Grabs the top Rax, and that's a double Rax at 36 minutes. Tongfu so far behind.
And this is an anti-mage that isn't interested. Oh, and actually at top, he is going to go on King J. Just going to run away. That fissure, the warning shot fissure, isn't going to do too much. Try to make up the creeps. It's a good effort, but at the same time, I really like the way that Mushi plays his anti-mage. It's got to be the most frustrating thing in the world for opposing teams. He never engages you directly in a fight. He's just going to farm, pick you apart, take your towers, and force you to get into these 5-man situations, which are really inefficient.
Well, on the bright side for Tongfu, they are getting a lot of sheep sticks. Outward Devourer has been able to finish his. He's got a gem as well to scout out enemies. We also have a sheep on the way for Darkseer. He actually does have the money right now.
He's got a secret agent chicken it. He's got to be really afraid that Mushi might be up there.
They're like having the double sheep is really good against anti-mage. At least if he grabs the butterfly, they can shut down the evasion. They can also maybe catch him out of position. But man, when you have a heart and an abyssal at 20 with 2,900 HP at 37 minutes, like killing him is going to be tough no matter what happens. They almost need to set up like hex into stuns. It's definitely going to take more than a couple seconds to kill that guy.
Yeah, and I would have actually, what I would have liked to see this game more is more offensive ultimates from Silencer. It seemed like they almost use them entirely defensively. Just using it to pick off the Queen of Pain, setting up a fissure, global silencing, maybe getting a rocket barrage and a call down. Just being able to use it more offensively, I think it would have benefited them more.
Queen of Pain picks up a ultimate orb. What do you think she's going to build with this? Scotty?
Lincoln's, doesn't really matter at this point.
Any giant item. I mean, build a Morphling Queen of Pain. Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, a Scotty would be pretty good just because of the BKBs. Being able to slow somebody down would be a big boon as well. Makes it really easy for the anti-mage to get into these fights. Mushi just going to go back. Oh,
wow,
and mid.
Really? That was a big mistake from Sansheng. There's a Hex actually. Scream of Pain on Moo. Moo might be in trouble. We do see a mech more right clicks than KOX while he's going to get right out. Why go Earthshaker first? They've got a Hex on the OD. They should start off with that.
And meanwhile, Mushi, as he's been doing all game long, refuses to come to team fights. It almost feels like and Global Silence is going to be popped for that Bad Rider.
Okay. Huh. Well, the gem is picked up by Gyrocopter. He's getting pretty close to Butterfly. DPS output is going to be pretty sick.
Yeah, and actually, soon Tongfu is going to have to make a decision on what to do. It almost feels like Mushi is playing one of those styles of pubs where he's like, I can't hear you, and he ignores the rest of his team. He's like, I'm never going to come to a fight. You guys took 2 creeps.
Blitz Dota style? Is that true?
Dude, I come to fights all the time. I'm not a selfish player.
Unless you're getting Bloodstone. Then
Believe in
then
me.
I won't see you for
and
the
at
first 20
bottom,
minutes.
Moo's just going to get picked off by the Abyssal.
Oh, pretty easy for him. He's actually getting a lot of mana drain, but Banana's really low. Scream of Pain. He takes some bonus vacuum to do some, but no one will die here. Except for OD, of course.
Yeah, it looks like Mushi's playing a little bit almost too cautiously. I don't think with the Obsidian down and only 1 Hex up, he can actually die. But he's got 5k gold, enough for a buyback and whatever item he decides to go, but he's playing extra cautiously, just going to blink out.
His net worth is okay, 28,000 gold. Next closest is his ally, 16,000 on Queen of Pain, and then the next after that is Gyrocopter.
Actually kill
like the same.
for him to just get into one team fight with his team. That'd be so gratifying to watch.
You want him to actually play 5v5? Is that going to happen at
this can't, at this point, you just have to say, I'm so far ahead.
They didn't do that last game either against Zenith.
Yeah,
it was like the same stuff.
No,
it was
this is like you're a 40-minute 6-slotted anti-mage, and this isn't like a fake 6-slot. This is a true, really expensive
gem
6-slot. I mean,
gem.
well, once he gets rid of the gem for Butterfly,
yeah,
he's got the money for it, and he's still refusing to participate in fights.
He could blow up this Earthshaker so fast.
He can blow up anybody so fast at this point.
Could
I
he
mean,
blow up-
how's BKB's only at 7 seconds now, which actually is decently high, but
That would stop the mana break at least, but with the Abyssal
maybe
Blade, it
wait
doesn't
for the
matter.
Aegis and then go for the fight.
Divine Rapier.
Possibly. Oh god, I don't even know. What he's gonna have to sell something. I guess the Battle Fury he could.
It's not worth it. He's gonna keep that.
Get the Aegis, force a fight, win the game. Do it, Mushi.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna need an Aegis here.
He's definitely
Pretty high chance of him dying in the next team fight.
he's had a really difficult time living, and his team gonna do the safe thing, protect him. Picks up the Aegis,
He grabbed
drops
it.
the gem.
God, I hope he goes really I hope he's just like, I'm gonna blink in 5v1, and then if things go bad, then my team can back me up.
Okay, if his team goes for the bottom lane and he pushes mid, I'm done. Life's over for me. Oh my god, he's going for the
Oh
top lane.
God.
Just do it.
It's got a counter push, guys. It's what anti-mage
This
does.
is I think at this point he's just trying to go for a GPM record.
He doesn't have that many kills, though. I mean, he's got 29,000. There's actually going to be team fight. BKBs go in. Earthshaker as well. Great blink initiation. Catches Net before he pops his BKB. Mex finally, as X is running for his life, call down as well, slowing quite a bit. Net throws another stun. Where's the anti-mage? He's killing somebody. He's going illusions on just about every support here. He picks off one. Mushi going on the next. Net stays alive just barely, and good game is called. Team fight from Orange is too much here. Anti-mage is a little bit farmed. Didn't even get close. He lost about 15%.
He wasn't even close to die. I don't understand this game.
He lost 15%. He can dive like crazy now. Gems everywhere. He's got 8,000 gold. Wow. Really solid play from Mushi, and it's a great counter against Gyrocopter, honestly. It's all single target. They need single target damage, and they need ganking potential to shut down Mushi, but there wasn't enough single target ganking out of Tongfu here, and Orange is going to take game 1, so it's looking pretty good for them. So yeah, that's going to be game 1 of Orange versus Tongfu, guys. They're going to have a second game coming up shortly after. This is day 1 of Group B for the Alienware Cup. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This was a Purge and Blitz Team Hoodie cast, and Orange takes the first game, so pretty fun to watch. Hope you guys tune in for game 2. How are you guys doing over on the desk? LD, what did you think about that game?
Mushi's back on carry, and he's back in a big way.
Yeah.
Playing anti-mage two games in a row now, and wow, Impressive. They got anti-maged. I mean, what more is there to say about that game? They got anti-maged extremely hard.
It just seemed like their Tongfu strategy was they were like, oh well, we'll do this. We'll have these great team fights.
Yeah.
We'll have the global silence, and that'll be great against 2 blinking heroes. But they never got to use it offensively. Ohio got shut down so many times by the Bat Rider. I think Orange realized the gyro is the key to the strategy. They're like, if he dies continuously while our anti-mage is farming, he's all of the damage output. So all we have to do is shut him down.
Damage. And you get a hero like Silencer, which on paper is really good for ganking anti-mage early to mid-game. You can global, then you gank him. Once he gets the Manta, he just Mantas out of the silence. There's not a whole lot you can do there. And then you have a hero who's basically just walking food as a support. Only the Earthshaker stun, really, as far as the 2 supports go for true lockdown. And it's a bit lacking when you get into those later game engagements.
Yeah, I don't want to be presumptuous here, but I actually don't think the Sven was necessary at all. I think if you took the Sven out of the game, like seriously, I'm 100% not kidding. If the game was 4v5, the result would have been the same.
He used Warcry occasionally. There were some stuns.
But I'm just saying,
entirely fair.
I'm mainly kidding, but you know, for the most part, it was just
it's not a
Mushi.
high impact support.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty fair.
And that was just that goes to show how much of an impact Mushi had on the game itself. He was able to pick off. He correctly asserted that his team. They needed him to defend the T2, but he was thinking to himself, well, if my entire team is there to defend, and there's nothing, not even a T2 stopping me, why wouldn't I just go for this Rax?
It seems like Orange is kind of evolving into almost Zenith in a way, where the Orange for a while was favoring more of like a team fight composition. They'd get a team fighting pushing carry like a Luna, a Lone Druid. They'd complement it with the Extinct Chen. They'd group up. They fight together, but today we've seen a lot more emphasis on split push out of them.
Yeah, I think it's mainly just because of the anti-mage pick. That's what the bread and butter of that hero is. You never really want to get into a direct engagement until
you can fight, but I mean, only when you're really big do you want to.
I actually think Mushi could have fought with like 4. Let's be real here.
I was just listening to you. Like, okay, I think he can fight now, guys. Mushi, you can fight now.
The Earthshaker was level 8.
Mushi's one of these players. The more you cast him, you'll find that he's got these like little idiosyncrasies, right? Like he doesn't like to spend his gold. Sometimes he just doesn't want to fight, and you're like, "Come on, Mushi!"
He was allergic to fighting though that game. He was actually absolutely. I mean, the Earthshaker was level 8 when he was like
fighting
25.
killed his family or something.
Yeah.
Personal problems, man.
It's like team fights killed my dad.
Personal problems.
But I mean, at the risk of sounding harsh, I think he could have came to fights, but at the same time, it was really methodical. I really liked the way that he played. I didn't like the way it was from a caster perspective.
All right, he did this wrong. He did this wrong.
No,
he did this wrong.
Actually did.
He did this wrong.
Come on.
I like how he played.
As a player,
seriousness.
he was fantastic.
Yeah.
Who am I to criticize him? I just mean to say
it's just the little things he could do better.
Well, from a caster perspective, I was going to say perspective and point of view at the same time. But perspective, I think it would have been a little more exciting to see him fight. But at the same time, it's a lot more safe to just get into these never engage. I'll just split push you to death. So from that point of view, like if I were to play, I'd be like, wow, this is actually fantastic play.
I feel like as a carry player, it's very easy to get into this. If you feel like you have the better late game, it's just very comfortable. Guys, let me farm more. Let me get buyback. Let me have like buyback boots of travel and a fresh BKB or whatever the case may be, and depending on the game. And then I'll come and fight. And he just wanted. He took out like an insurance policy on his insurance policy.
It would have just, for me personally, I complained a bit, but it was mainly just, it would have been so emotionally gratifying to see him like 2-shot an Earthshaker that he's got like 14 levels on.
Just bring the hammer down.
Like, that's my favorite part of Dota, when you just like ruin somebody's life. Like he would have just blinked on that Earthshaker, 3-shot him, and then.
It's interesting because your least favorite part of Dota is when someone else is ruining your life. Just campy you mid the entire game.
Exactly, but as long as
you'll
it's not
find
happening
if you
to
watch
me.
Blitz stream, but
as long as it's not happening to me, but.
End of the day, they're going to take game 1 in the best of 2. Do you think they take game 2 as well?
I mean, I called Tongfu going 2-0. That obviously didn't even come close to happening because now
I was actually getting a little annoyed because you've been getting like all your predictions right, and finally you're wrong.
Yeah,
you're just dead wrong on one.
It was a depressing one too.
I have company here. I said 1-1, so I guess I should be rooting for Tongfu if I had money on the line.
You guys played it safe. I don't play it safe.
I swear.
Wait, did you wink again?
Yeah.
You can't do that, man. That embarrasses me.
Somebody in the chat told me to tell you to wink at the camera.
Oh, really? I'll do that for you guys again.
He's not winking.
I can do this.
He's just squinting.
Because it makes my
hold
right eye
hold
kind
one
of
of
like
your eyes open and then
it
close
like
the other
shivers. It like
one. All right. Well, anyway, that's gonna wrap up game one. Orange, they'll take it, but it's a best of 2 format. We'll see if Tongfu bounces back here. If not, they'll start off Group A or Group B rather, 0-2. It's day one of Group B action for the Alienware Cup. Brought to you, man, I can't speak English either. Brought to you by Alienware, MasterCard, and DPM Interactive. Stay tuned. More action after this.